And we're back. Am I too early? Nope, I think I'm right on time. So this is my first time trying schedule. I only had 15 minutes before I scheduled it. So I'm just learning. So as you've been around a little bit, you'll know that I'm just trying things out. So today I'm cooking dinner. It's a little late for me to be cooking dinner. It's about 6:15 p.m. on Pacific Coast in California. But it's okay. It's just me and my husband. We're just going to make some food, and then I'm going to have some leftovers. So the first thing we're going to make is the Momofuku noodles, and I doctor them up with a little bit of beef, and I have some cilantro, green onions, and some sauteed vegetables. And then the other dish is I'm only going to use half the ground beef that I have in that. And then the other dish is a noodle dish that I make all the time, and it's using vermicelli noodles. And these noodles look like this. They come in little bundles. I tagged some in here in the shopping cart. So if you don't have access to these at your grocery store, that's what they're called. These are actually called bean thread vermicelli. And I get, this one is from Costco, but you can get any bean thread. You can even do rice noodles with these. But the bean thread is the one that is more popular for this. So I'm just going to do 4 bundles since it's just the 2 of us. And if you guys can't hear me, let me know. And so all I'm going to do is take some water, and I'm going to pour them over. And this is just room temperature water. And I'm just going to soak them while we do other things. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. So I'm just going to set these aside, and they'll soak for about 15-20 minutes while we cook, while we prep everything else. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to prep our beef. So I've got just some 93% ground beef. You can go fattier. Just know that you're not going to be able to drain out the fat in these 2 dishes. And so sometimes you want a little bit fattier. So I would usually I do 88%, and that's fine. 80% gets a little fatty, and don't go down to 70 for sure. So I prefer the leaner ground beefs when I'm doing this dish. And so all I'm going to do is start with my sauces. Now, you can go super simple. And if you can find this in the store, I don't see it on the TikTok shop, might be on other online stores, but this is from Lee Kum Kee. And I don't know if you guys can read it because it's probably backwards, but it's brown braising sauce. So if you just want to go simple and just marinate it, you can actually just use this sauce as is, and then add garlic and other things that you want. But I'm going to show you, since this sauce may not be available to everybody, I'm going to show you another kind of the more common sauce to use, which is I always use the less sodium soy sauce, because I find that the other one is way too salty. So unless you're going to add water to dilute it, it doesn't make sense. I do have this recipe called I just didn't print out the whole thing. Chinese marinated stir-fry beef on my website, dish-ditty.com, D-I-T-T-Y, not Didi. So this is just a common marinade that I use for almost everything. And I change it up. I'll add different seasonings: white pepper, 5 spice, garlic, ginger, no garlic. Depends on what flavors I'm in the mood for. I tagged actually the oyster sauce that I usually like to use. This is a gluten-free one, and I just need to use it up. So I had somebody that I needed to make a gluten-free version of something, and so I'm just going to pour some in. And you don't need a whole lot. It comes out kind of slow. So I'm going to just do that. Okay. Next up is the garlic. Got to add some garlic to it. And I'm just using minced garlic. You can do fresh garlic, of course. I'm lazy, and I don't always know when I need garlic, so I didn't realize I wanted to make put garlic in it today. And so, yeah, you can make this as heavy as you want in garlic. I would not make this one too heavy, just because the noodles, you don't really want them super heavy, but a light flavor of garlic is always nice. Right. And then we just need a little bit of sugar, and that's what we got. So this sauce here already has sugar in it. The oyster sauce has some, but it's not the amount of sugar that you want in this dish. You want to balance out the flavors a little bit. So I don't put a lot in, just like a tablespoon, and that's more than enough. And it just pumps the flavor up a little bit. You don't have to add the sugar if you don't want to. There's plenty of sugar in there. It just does kind of balance out the flavors a little bit. All right, so just stirring that up, and then we're going to marinate the beef. Now, you don't need to marinate, especially ground beef, for like hours and hours and hours. However, I will do large batches of it and freeze them into servings, into smaller half pound to pound, 1 pound, freezer bags. So that way, when I'm doing, when I want to cook something, I just grab a bag out, and I'll use this marinade for sliced beef. So if I want to do like oyster sauce beef or beef with broccoli or beef with bok choy or any of the beef withs, they all pretty much start the same way. And you really want to marinate your beef if you can, to give it your flavor. If you're trying to do stir fry and you don't give your beef at least 15-20 minutes to marinate, and you just try to cook it from, and add sauce after you kind of started stir frying it, it's going to be flat. I'll do some of that later, but the real trick when you're doing the sliced beef is to do what's called velveting it. And the way I velvet beef and chicken is I take some water and some baking soda and mix that up, and then I put the beef or chicken in and I already have it pre-sliced in the baking soda water for about 15 minutes, and then rinse it all off, get all of it off. And what you're going to find is that's what gives you that texture from the Chinese restaurants, especially the breast meat of the chicken. I don't do it with the thigh meat, but I do it with breast meat. Thinly slice it, and then you do that. Same thing with the beef. It becomes super, super tender. Then after you rinse it all off, make sure you rinse it off, because if you don't, it'll bubble up when you try to start cooking it. So rinse it all off, and then put it in a marinade. The chicken will, depending upon how you want it to be done, you can use this exact same marinade. I usually, for chicken, I'll add a little bit of seasoned rice wine vinegar, and that's one of my kind of go-to adds for that. I'll also add white pepper, and sometimes I'll just add some dried cilantro into it as well. Again, you can add in a lot of different things. There's also, I do similar things with pork. So you really can do almost, use this base for anything you want. You can kind of pump it up. Sometimes I'll add some mirin, which is a type of cooking wine. You can add some sherry. It really just depends on what flavors you're wanting. But if you just start with the oyster sauce, the soy sauce, a little bit of sugar, and then you can add garlic, ginger, whatever you want. It really, really makes it easy for you to kind of start your dinner prep. And again, so I just mixed it up. And so now I'm just going to set this aside and let it marinate. And it will, by the time we get ready, all the vegetables and everything ready, this is going to be perfect. So I'm going to set that one aside. So we got a couple things set aside right now. All right. So the first dish, which is the Momofuku noodles, we're going to do some bok choy. And this thing is huge. I think I may only need one. Maybe I'll do a couple extra leaves if it does cook down. Yeah, that's fine. So we're going to do some bok choy, and we're going to do some Napa cabbage. And these, let's probably don't need that much. So let's cut these up. And what we're going to do is, that's a big knife. Here we go. That's the knife I want. Okay. So I don't need that much cabbage because it's just the two of us. I'm going to do half of this. It will cook down a lot, but this means I'm going to have enough cabbage and Napa cabbage and bok choy. So Napa cabbage is a little different than American cabbage. It's much looser. It's a little lighter in flavor. It doesn't have as much of a cabbage flavor that you would expect from an American cabbage. But if you don't have Napa cabbage, you can certainly use American cabbage in this, and I have. It's not a problem. It just is slightly more strong in that cabbage flavor. Napa cabbage is going to taste more like a leafy green, and I don't know how to explain it more. It's just not as bitter, I guess is the thing. So I usually chop these up in, you know, fairly large chunks like this. You can see, and chop it up in chunks. And I'm going to put it in water, and I'm going to rinse it off, and then I'll drain it. But what I like to do, and I need to add some more water to this, so I will be off camera for a second. I like to let them soak for a minute to let the dirt fall to the bottom of the bowl, and then when I rinse it off, it just comes off, because these sit in dirt, and so these aren't too bad. But you can see here, you can see there's dirt in that one. There's dirt in there. These are grown in dirt, so not my favorite, but you got to grow food, got to have dirt. So I just like to make sure I get all the dirt off before I cook it. You can certainly rinse them off first before you do any. Actually, I'll just move it over to the sink, and maybe do some of the prep over there. You can certainly do it whole, but always cut off the bottom before you do it, because you'll never get inside there. You'll never get inside there. So definitely cut off the bottom, and then if you want to do them whole, you can. So I'm going to just come over here, and I'm going to turn the camera a little bit, and excuse all the dishes and mess, because we do live here. This is not a commercial kitchen. This is our home. So I'm just going to pour some water in here, and I'm going to rinse off my cilantro. We just got this from our garden. Not the best. I'm out of cilantro, so just going to rinse these off so I don't waste water. And while I'm adding water, I've got my green onions from my garden as well. And the green onions are coming from ones I bought at the store. I chop off the tops. I chop off the green portion of it, put it in water. Oh, so you can't even see me. I chop off the green portions, put it in water for about 3-4 days until it starts to sprout, and then I put it in dirt. And I haven't bought green onions for 4 months at least. So that's what I do with the green onions. So these, you can see, I kind of let them float, and I let it swish it around until all of the dirt falls down. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, is get all the dirt off of those, and it comes off pretty easily. So then once I do that, then I just drain out all of these. Sleeves are going to drive me nuts. I'm going to have to take this off. So I drain out all the liquid and make sure the dirt's gone. Sometimes I'll do it twice. If it looks really dirty, I might do it twice. So yeah, so there's no more dirt on. I can't see any more dirt on any of it. Just try to get the water out. And so that's all prepped and ready to go. And we've got our green onions and cilantro. We're going to chop those up, and I'm going to turn it around again. My kitchen is not designed well does not have the proper L design. I did not have a choice in that. It was not all right. I did not design this kitchen, and I haven't been able to redesign it yet. All right, so we've got those, and then I have spinach as well that I might add. You certainly can add any leafy greens you want to this dish. This is not, I don't tend to only do certain vegetables, but these are kind of more of the common vegetables that we use. Just more of the common vegetables that we have when you're doing Chinese cooking. So I can get all of these vegetables at my grocery store. I can get all of these ingredients at Safeway without a problem. But I know in some parts of the country that's not necessarily the case. So I'm trying to link things that would help you when you're doing your thing. So I've got my little bowl there. All right, so next up we're going to do the green onions. I'll just get a paper towel, and I'm going to just pat them dry. And so you can see these ones, the tips are cut because I cut this down, and so it grew from the center, cut it down, and then it continued to grow. And so this is where I had cut it down before. So this is how much it grew since the last time I cut this one off. And this is just one of my favorite little savings. I just cannot stand spending the amount of money that it's costing for green onions out here in California. We have so much produce here, and yet the green onions at Safeway are sometimes as expensive as $2 for a bunch. I don't know about you. That's just too much. So So all I'm doing right now is just chopping it up, and this is going to go on top of both dishes actually. I use green onions and cilantro in a lot. If you don't like cilantro, don't put it in there. It does. It's these are just things to kind of enhance. They're not really necessary, but if you don't have green onions, you can slice up some yellow onions, but I would saute them with the vegetables. First, saute them first to soften them because onions take a little longer to cook than the cabbages and bok choy. So you can substitute. You don't like onions, don't put it in. This is the type of dish that you can do almost anything with, but this is just kind of how I tend to do it. But I do change things up quite a bit. So I have a lot of little things that I do to make things different. Like I said, you can add different seasonings. You can add spices. You can add things like the Momofuku. I'm going to pin this because this is what we're doing. Let me actually go to and pin this one. So give me a second. I'm just going to pin these. I'm going to pin this, the set that I bought, which is so I'm sure all of you guys have seen Momofuku. It is a really nice product. I haven't tried this chili oil yet. This looks a little different. It's called Black Truffle Chili Crunch. So I've never had truffle in any Chinese dishes, but chili oil like this is very common. So this is something that you can add to your food to make it spicier. But it came with that, and it came with three packages, and I'd already had these several times, so I keep buying them. And so it came with three packages, and it came with a packet of cookies, which we already ate. So I have a video for that later, but I can't post things yet because I don't have enough followers, so I can only post 5 shop videos a week, and I did not know that. So I kind of knew, but I didn't know. So anyways, so we're gonna get these cilantro. Now this isn't the prettiest looking cilantro, so this is okay though. We'll be fine. My cilantro it's just a little cold outside, so it's a little not so happy, but it's better than nothing. I like cilantro enough that I will suffer through it. Now I take off the big stems. I'm not usually that particular about it, but some of these are a little thick, so I'll take those off. Once you chop it up, you really don't notice the little small ones, but like this one's thick, and so it's a little too thick for me. So has it? I don't know how many people. We got 6 people on there. For anybody that's on, do you guys cook? Do you guys like to cook Chinese food at home, or are you just kind of interested to see how this works? If you like to cook Chinese food at home, I'd love to hear kind of what you like to cook, or if you are interested, what type of dishes you'd like to see. Just put them in the comments, and I'll try to catch it. I don't have a secondary computer or device yet set up to be able to track, but I will try to keep an eye on these things. So this is the this is hopefully I can do this within the hour. I'm usually I can cook faster, but as I'm talking, I slow myself down. This dish from start to finish is usually less than 30 minutes, if not 20 minutes, because again, like I said, I'm a lot faster when I'm not talking, and I will just go like a little whirlwind. My husband doesn't like it too much because then when I'm doing that whirlwind, I make a big mess. All right, there we go. And I'm just going to rough chop this just so that it's going to just be used. It's just going to be used on the top of the noodles, both of them. You can cook cilantro, but I like it is much better as a topping. See, I missed one of these. See, look, that one's really thick. So just a rough chop. Should have probably been dried a little bit more, but that's okay. You'll find that I do not follow all the rules of cooking. I do what works for me, and I'm okay with that. All right, so I need to actually start the water. Should have done that before. All right, so I'm going to move the camera Again, we're going to go over to the stove now, and what we're going to do, let me see if you can see the stove. Okay, that's not necessarily the best. Let me put you down a little bit. Put it down just a little bit. Okay, let's see that. All right, so there we go. Okay, so now we've got, it should be, I'd like it a little bit more centered. Let me see if I can get it a little bit better. Sorry about this. There we go. That might be a little bit better. All right, let me turn the light on here so you get a little bit more light. All right, so I've got a pot over here that I'm going to boil for the noodles. The Momofuku noodles are super simple. Today I'm going to do, this one was my favorite, I'll be honest with you, the tingly wiggly. The shape is more like a flat noodle, a thin flat noodle, and not super big. So I prefer that. Now we have our meat that we marinated here. Okay. What I'm going to do with this meat is I'm going to separate it into two bowls because I do need it to be slightly different. Because for one of the dishes, which is the Momofuku noodles, we want to kind of have a little bit of sauciness to it. So we want it to actually have like a little gravy, not a lot, just a little bit, because it'll kind of enhance the flavor. The other noodle, well, with the Momofuku, we're putting it on top. We're not mixing it in. The other noodle, it's all mixed in. So that one, I do not want to have it have that sauce. I want it to be part of the. I want it to just be flat. I don't want to have it be sticky because then that'll change the texture of the. I'll just change the texture of the noodles and it'll stick to the noodles. Since this isn't getting mixed in with the noodles, I'm just going to put it in here for now. I do have to turn this on, but anyway, so I'm going to make this one be more like a little saucy, and the other one is not going to be saucy, but it's going to be part of the noodle dish, all mixed in and cooked with it. So this is lovely that I just make a big old mess. I just put a little bit of cornstarch in it, and that's what gives you that binding and that sauciness. When you're trying to make kind of a nice sauce, usually you start with your meat having some cornstarch on it. One, it'll help it brown, and two, you'll brown the meat in the oil, and then we're going to do that. And then once it's brown, what you're going to do is add some sort of liquid. And when you add that liquid in, it's going to create a nice sauce. And so depending upon what your liquid is, you'll find that sometimes you'll just use soy sauce, sometimes you use brown braising sauce, sometimes you use broth, sometimes you'll even just use water. If you're using if you use the full sodium soy sauce, adding more sodium to it, like more soy sauce, sometimes is too much. So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to turn this on, and I'm turning it on to a medium temperature. And what we're going to do is we're going to wait for this pan to get hot, and we're going to let it get all the way hot. And the way we're going to test it is we're going to put a little bit of water, watch it bead. I'm going to get it hot enough to not bead so you can see what that looks like. And then this is something I got off the TikTok shop. I've been seeing these all over. I've tried the really fancy oil sprayers, and they're just not good. They don't work very well. And I have an avocado spray that's like a Pam spray from Costco. That thing just does not spray straight. It just sprays in like a little fine line. This one does sprays. I'm not going to do it yet. And you can also pour. So I'll show you both once it gets to the point where you're going to put the oil in. You don't want the oil in until you actually have the pan at a nice hot temperature. That is one of the other mistakes a lot of people make. And I have definitely made that mistake myself many, many times. But I don't always follow the rules. But this one is probably the best rule you could follow. So this is starting to get warm. Not quite there. It's going to take a few more minutes, but I'm going to just see if it sizzles. See, no, it's not even sizzling yet. But you can kind of see it. I don't know if you can see that. It won't bead, and it kind of just sizzles in place. We're going to let it keep heating up. and I'm going to get to do. So we're going to do for the tingly noodles. I'm going to do 3 packets of the tingly noodles. Probably should only do 2, but I'm going to do 3 for now. And it really is about for if you're having this on its own with just a little bit of meat, like the one dish, 1 packet is probably fine for most people. If you're if you like a lot more food, you might want a packet and a half or 2. Like so, if you have a teenage boy, my son would have done 3, right? And if he's on his workout routine, even more so. So I'm going to turn that down a little bit so it can boil, but not on top of me. Okay, so this is getting hotter. I'm going to show, this is not hot enough, I can tell you that much. So you can see can you hear it? Can you see that? It's not beating, it's sizzling. When it sizzles like that, it's not hot enough. It's a hot pan, enough to sizzle, but not enough to actually properly cook. Because what's going to happen is if you do that, it's the nonstick won't be nonstick. You need it to be hot enough to actually get a nonstick kind of atmosphere. Atmosphere, that's not the right word, but you can understand what I'm saying. So let's see. And thank you guys for the hearts. Whoever's giving me hearts, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh shoot. Okay, live. So I'm not supposed to say thank you. I don't know why. That's just, and I have to read that up and see if that's even true. So anyways, but yeah, I feel like something like this so far, I like it. I've only had it for a couple weeks. But for the price, I bought some of those ones that you pump and spray, and those things only lasted 6 months or so. This one I've had it for about a month, and it's working really well. I'm really enjoying it. So this is getting close, I think. I'm gonna try a little bit of. Nope, it's still sizzling, still not ready. So this is the hardest part of cooking for me, is the patience. I have 0 patience, so I want to constantly just speed it up, make it faster. So let's keep going. All right, so I don't know. All right. So I don't know what invite as a guest for. I'm not going to do that this time because I'm going to have to try that out with some friends and see what that means. I don't know if that means you go on screen and we duplicate the screen or not, but I think that's probably what it means. Okay, it's still sizzling, not really but beating, and so we're gonna watch it and keep it going. Again, this is the part that takes the longest because you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. And you can use a wok for this for sure. You can use a deep pan like this. You can actually, for this, I really don't need this large of a pan. It was just on my stove because all we're doing is the beef, and then we're going to do we're going to do the vegetables first and then the beef. So, we're gonna do the veggies first. So the veggies are really simple, and the reason I like the veggies is you kind of need something green to go with the noodles. The Momofuku noodles have a nice flavor on their own, but they're plain. They're just almost like they're just noodles that have sauce on them. They don't have anything textured or any greens or anything to kind of make it a full meal. So what we're going to be doing is making it a full meal. This is all to a boil or coming to a boil. So I don't want it to be cooked until I get everything ready to combine. Because the Momofuku noodles only take, how long? 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes. So that's we're going to do at the very, very end. Once this is ready, once this is going. Okay, so they're going to be like, nope, how could it not still be boiled? Should be done yet. I am so not patient. All right, get it up a little bit. There we go. This is a big pan, but it should be coming close. So all we're going to do with the vegetables is going to be super simple. We're just going to put some oil in the pan, and we're going to add the vegetables. Now be careful because there is water in these vegetables. You can dry them off a lot more. Again, me, lazy, I don't do that. And then we're just going to add a little bit of soy sauce to it. Not a lot, and a little bit of, I do seasoned rice wine vinegar. this is on the TikTok shop, but I can't, and this exact one is on the TikTok shop. I don't know if it's the same size, but it's the Marucan, or it might be Kiko, I don't know. But this one is Marucan seasoned gourmet rice vinegar. And so the season part means they add salt and sugar. So it's essentially what you would use in sushi rice, but it's also a great way to use it in your dishes because adding the sugar and the salt at the same time gives you that balance, and you don't have to add them another, at the same time. Otherwise, I might have to make a little rice wine vinegar if it was plain, some soy sauce, and add a little bit of sugar in there. I wouldn't add more salt, but I'd add more sugar. Okay, this thing better be ready now. Let's just try it. So can you see it's beating? But you can see it's not, see how that one beads, but not all of them are beating. So it's close. And if you were doing something like I'm just doing the vegetables right now, and that would be fine for the vegetables because it's not going to stick. But if I was doing the meat, you think that it's beating, but not all of it was beating. So it's almost there. But especially if you're doing fried eggs, you really want to make sure that it is beating, the whole thing is beating, not just a portion of it. So it's almost there. I can see it. There we go. So that's all beating. All right, so that's beating. Okay, so that's good now. All right, so I'm gonna add the oil. And like I said, so this one has the spray, or pop that top off and you can pour it in. All right, so that's something that I thought was a really cool idea. I wasn't sure how well the spray was gonna work because like I said, the other ones that I bought, the sprays are bad. So I put it away from me so you can see it spraying, splattering. So be really careful when you're putting anything like this in there. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm hoping you can hear me from here. I'm going to cook it for a little bit. I'm going to come back away so you can hear me better. I'm going to cook it, and I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I'm going to constantly mix it. You could just put salt in here, garlic salt, regular salt, and be done. And that would be fine. That would be perfectly fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some soy sauce, little rice wine vinegar, to kind of make it a little bit more flavorful. But again, okay, you can probably not as loud now. So you can see it's now I'm kind of getting it there. We're good. So okay. So now that you can probably hear me again, I'm going to just add a little bit of soy sauce, and not a lot. I don't want a lot, just a little bit, just a splash. And I'm just doing a splash of the seasoned rice wine vinegar. Again, not necessary, but it just adds a little bit of. I'm gonna use that stupid word, umami flavor, and so this will give you a nice dish. Now at this point, my husband's Chinese, so my mother-in-law would make just this alone, and it goes in the center of the table, and it, is a big batch of just greens, and it's always on every table. That's every. It doesn't matter what you're having, you're going to have some sort of greens in the middle of the table, and this is one of the more common ones. Sometimes she would just do it with just salt. A lot of times she just did just plain salt or garlic and salt. So that's there. Now you can cook this down to however you like. I'm going to cook it just a little bit longer, but not a whole lot longer. I like it to still have a little bit of texture, and you will have texture because the Napa cabbage, that is one of the different things, is that Napa cabbage has a lot more texture in the bottoms. And same thing with the bok choy. They're a little bit stronger. And I'm going to throw a little bit of spinach in there right now. Not a lot, just a little bit to kind of add. I have a lot of spinach I need to use up. And so we're going to throw a little bit of spinach in there. Just a little bit to kind of pump it up a little bit. So let's get just a little bit more. And you can certainly add more spinach. You can add whatever leafy greens you like. I don't know if the mustard greens would work or the chard, but hey, if you like them, it probably would be just fine. So there we go. This is going to be almost done. And the spinach only takes a second to wilt. So there we go. That's what we're doing. And I'm going to get a bowl to pull it out. All right. So now I'm going to just take it out. I like it like that. Again, it's this. These are all preferences. You can do how you like it. I tend to, oh, I do not have a strong enough arm to be able to do that. So we're gonna lift it out a little different. Let me turn it off. I'll leave it on. It's fine. So you can. This is really about learning the different techniques for cooking, more so than learning recipes, because most of Chinese cooking is about the different techniques and how to make things have certain textures or certain sauces or certain flavors, and learning what those flavors you like. So if you just do straight up soy sauce for your stir fries, you're going to find it's a little bland. Add some seasoned rice wine vinegar in there, it's going to pump it up. Add some mirin or even some sherry, which is easy to get. Those will be ways that you can kind of pump up the flavor. Obviously, fresh garlic and fresh ginger, or even just garlic and ginger that you get, like I've used in the how did I use it? Well, you know what I meant. So garlic and ginger, you can add it anyways. So okay, so I'm gonna let this heat up for just a second, kind of coat the bottom of the pan. I just added more oil. I'm using avocado oil. It's my oil of choice right now. Chinese don't use avocado oil. I know that. They don't use olive oil either. But I'm preferring trying to get into more healthier oils. So, okay. Now I'm going to throw this in, and it's going to brown. All right. There we go. Okay. And so the oils, when you have when you have the cornstarch in there, the oil will help make the sauce as well. So, and again, if you use ground beef that was 80%, you're gonna probably want to use a lot less oil than what I use. This is 93%, so it is very lean. And I'll just take that little piece of veggie out. All right. So we're going to brown this up. And then once this is brown, we're going to add just a little bit of liquid in it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of water, not a lot. And we're going to show how the water will kind of turn it into a sauciness. And again, without the cornstarch, you will not get that sauciness. It will just become liquid. So I'm gonna let this. You kind of want it to brown, and if you notice, it's coming apart really nicely and easily. It doesn't make it stick together. If you want it to stick together, you can add, like, if you want to make meatballs, like I do like some meatballs sometimes. I take this exact recipe, make Chinese meatballs. You can add an egg and a little bit of flour or breadcrumbs. They don't use breadcrumbs in Chinese cooking either, as far as I can tell. So usually it's going to be a little bit of just an egg and some flour to kind of get it to be, and with the cornstarch as well. Cornstarch is very key to that. You don't necessarily need the egg either, but all right. So this is almost there. And you can see some of the garlic in there cooking up, and you don't want the garlic to burn, but it's not going to burn in this case. And anything that happens on the side, if you have a pan that's really sticking badly and it's crusty, really that's probably better. I probably should have used a pan that would do that a little bit better, because what's going to happen is that crustiness becomes nice, yummy flavor. I want this to get a little bit more cooked, and as soon as I add a little bit more brown, I'm going to let it sit, kind of get more brown. You can do this at a higher temperature, and for sure, this doesn't need to be at a high temperature. All right, so now you can see I'm going to just add some water to this, stir it up. And at first it looks a little gross, because you've got all the oils and you've got this cornstarch that is not yet there, but then it'll start turning into a sauce. And it really doesn't take long. And I'm just, again, we're just topping our bowl off with this. So I don't need it to be extremely saucy. I just want it to kind of come together and look, have a nice glaze to it. So there we go. That's almost the way I like it. All right. And I will do this for all kinds, this style of ground beef or ground pork. I've done it with ground turkey. I don't really get ground chicken that often. Okay, so now it's it's saucy, but not like saucy. So you can see it kind of came together. That it helped that cornstarch just put it together. All right, so I'm going to throw that aside. Grabbing my bowl, and then we're going to move. I'm going to finish off this dish. I should have done a smaller pan for this, but I need a bigger pan for the other one, so I'm planning on using the same pan for both. All right, since it's the same flavors, I don't have to wash this pan out. It will just go like that. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off for now. Set it aside. We're going to make up the noodles. I'm going to bring the noodles over here so you can see them, and we're going to boil those puppies. All right, that to the side. There we go. Let's get the flame back on. This pot's not big enough for a full flame. Oh, that is boiling. Wow. All right. So we're going to do, I'm going to open up one of the packets. I should have opened the packets before, but I did not get there. So in the packet, you've got, I'm going to get a separate bowl to put these in so it's easier. All right. Okay. So in the pack, I'm just going to throw them in here because so that way I can, you got the noodles, which are dried. And I don't know if you can see that, but they're like they're a wheat noodle, not quite like a ramen, in the sense that they're not packed as tightly. But I don't know, and I don't think they use the same technique as ramen. This is a new technique that this Momofuku came up with. And so I'm not sure, maybe it's freeze-dried. I'm not really sure, but it works out really well. It's a nice recipe. It's a nice dish. So in here it comes with, this one just comes with one packet. Some of the others come with multiple packets depending upon, I think the soy and scallion noodles come with a packet of dried, if I remember correctly, it comes with a packet of the dried green onions. So there we go. I'm just taking this out so I can put them all in the pot at once. And I'm going to grab all right. So Alexa, set timer for 3.5 minutes.
3 minutes and 30 seconds. Starting now.
Okay, I'm going to turn this back up since I just put that in there. All right, so we're going to let this boil, and then we're going to throw it all together. I'm going to get my bowls ready for that. And I'm going to do one of these bowls. Let's do one of these. I'll do 2 bowls. One for me, one for my husband. I'm a little hungry. The other dish I'm making, because I don't need that much ground beef, so a pound of ground beef, and I probably could have even used less. So I wanted to make something with the beef in addition to these Momofuku noodles, which I was really craving. So there we go. So these are just noodles, but they have a very Asian flavor. They're similar noodles to ones I get at the Asian store, just packaged a little differently. These type of noodles, you can see they're they call them wavy noodles. So I would I think they're usually called flour noodles or chow mein noodles or something. There's a whole aisle at Ranch 99, Marina, Lions, Food Market. Those are the Chinese grocery stores we have out here. And you can find these noodles, this style of noodle everywhere, just not done in this way so that you can just make it easy to just bundle and go. There's another type of noodle that is bundled up, but it doesn't have all the sauce and everything. So for somebody who just needs you just want something simple, ready to go, this one is perfect. I don't need to stir it up. I'm just kind of trying to show you what the noodles look like. So we're gonna do that. Actually, I need a bowl for the noodles. Can't put that bowl on there because it is hot. I'm gonna put this here and turn it down. Don't want it to boil over. All right, so we're getting there. How much more time? We're over halfway. We only have about a minute and 10-15 seconds left right now. And we're gonna do. And I think they're pretty good about giving you the exact time to use, at least in terms of my experience with them. I'm just gonna pull the noodles out and put them in the bowl so that I don't have to go off camera again. All right, how are we doing? How much more time? We have 40 seconds. I feel like singing the Jeopardy song. All right. So like I said, most of this dish is prep work. If you have if you have your meat marinated, if you have your vegetables chopped up and cleaned, this can be done in as like 15 minutes. It's super fast. All right, let's see how we go. All right, dun, 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 dun. And we got almost done. It's gonna be beeping at me in a second. All right, Alexa, stop. Okay, so I'm just gonna. I would drain them using a strainer, but I'm just gonna do this for now so I don't have to go off screen. But this is fine, just fine. I just make a nice big mess for y'all. All right, and the only thing I do note is just be careful when you're caring for these packages because they do these noodles do break easily. So there's like a lot of little broken noodles on the bottom, which I don't mind. But that's probably because I was being a little bit rough when I was shoving it into my pantry, trying to find space for it. It came nicely packaged. It was not like that when it came. It was definitely me that did that. Okay, I can just leave those on there. So now all I'm going to do, I'm going to move this a little bit back so you can see the noodles. So this one just has the sauce already in it, already ready, and there should be a little notch, and I just pour it in. And like I said, this flavor was my favorite. I have one flavor that I have not yet tried. I think it's one that's even spicier than the one that says spicy noodles. So the one that says spicy noodles is spicy a little bit, and this one has a little tang to it as well. It is spicy, but it's not spicy. You can see there's a little red oil on there. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bit of oil on there. So we're gonna put some of the chili oil on top of my husband's. I'm not into the spiciness. Oh God, I wish you could smell this. This smells phenomenal. You just toss it, and really, that's done. Did you see how fast those noodles were? It was pretty amazing. So we're gonna make 2 bowls, and I'm pulling back a little bit more so you can see again. Get these things into the garbage pile. All right, so this is the part that becomes fun. Let's get this pot lid out of the way. Okay, I'm gonna plate two of them, and probably should have just done 2 packages, but it's okay. We'll have 2 big bowls of noodles, and there we go. There's 1, 2. You see it? Okay, yeah, maybe you can see it that way. Okay. So now we're gonna start putting the stuff on top. So we got our bowl of noodles, right? And then we're gonna throw in a little splattering of ground beef. And I usually like to, this dish I do prefer to use ground pork in it. I just think it tastes better to me, but that's not what I have in hand. So I'll add some the veggies. Add some veggies. All right. We still, like I said, we don't really need a whole lot of that meat. I could do another, for half a pound, I have another 2 dishes that I can make with that. I can have another 2 full bowls of noodles. Add some green onions, add some cilantro. All right. And then on one of them, we're going to try it out. I don't think there's any way that I'm going to eat this, but my husband will. So we're going to just drizzle a little bit of this chili oil on top. All right. So here we go. And you can get these at the stores, and sometimes, most of the time that I've seen them, they have been more expensive at the stores. It just depends on what sale's going on with Momofuku, which package set you get. If you just buy one package, it's about the same as most of the grocery stores. So I make a mess, sorry about that. So I'm stirring it up. So as you can see, the oil had settled on the top, and it is actually a really, really crunchy, they call it crunch, so it is crunchy. So I'm just going to put like a little dollop in the middle for my husband. He can test it and stir it in, and I think he's going to like it. So, all right. So that is dish number 1, and it is done. So the next dish is a little different. It's similar but different. And Mickey, you can come get your food. Yours is the one with the chili on it. All right. So, all right. Now this dish is going to be a little different. I am going to take some of the stuff aside. These can go away. All right. Yours is over here. You're not in camera. Don't worry. Here, this one is yours right there. All right. So I made a whole big old mess in here. So we got to kind of clean up a little bit before we start doing anything more. Okay, so I'm going to just bring it over here since we're doing most of it over here. So this is the noodles that we've been soaking. And it's probably been, I don't know how I can tell how long it's been. Let me see, what does it tell me here? Can I figure it out? I don't know if I can figure it out, but it's okay. 52 minutes. Okay, so it's been soaking probably for about 30 minutes. And what I like to do, you can leave them just like this, but I like to cut them. You can see now they're soft. I can cut through them. I just like to kind of make them not so long, so when I'm eating them, it's a little easier. Don't have to do that. It's not necessary. I am going to go off screen to drain this one to make it easier for me, and I will just be off screen, but I'll keep talking, and I think my thing can go. All right, we're going to drain and get these noodles ready for us to cook with. You can certainly boil these noodles first, but that's not usually going to be as good. They tend to get sticky if you use hot water or boil, but I have done that. That was how I used to do it at first, and I found that this is actually the better way of doing it. Hard to, when you have the Chinese family, sometimes it's hard to know what they're doing. So because I don't speak Chinese, so I'll just have to watch and learn. And his mom was good about telling me things, but sometimes I didn't ask the right questions. I'm gonna just rinse this pan off for just a second and get this cleaned up so I can use this pan. It doesn't need to be fully clean, but I don't want it to have any burnt on gunk. All right. All right, here we go. Okay. And all my friends know that when I cook, I never cook just a little bit. I always have to cook more than one dish. Usually it's going to be multiple stir fries, but this type of beef, I wanted it to be, I want it to be the way I want it. Okay, so this dish is going to have these noodles, right, that we did, the beef, and it's going to also have some frozen mixed vegetables. this is one that I use. I do this one a lot because I don't always have fresh vegetables. I try to, but sometimes you just don't have, they're just not there. And I can have these frozen peas and carrots and have them be something green in the dish. I have used zucchini in this dish. I've used bok choy and cabbage. I've used regular cabbage, American cabbage. I have used all kinds of different vegetables. On my website, the recipe that is listed on Dish Ditty is actually had zucchini in it, I believe. I was surprised when I saw that. Again, I would just write up whatever I'm making for that night, and it could be completely different the next time. So here we go. So this needs to heat up again. And this one is, I am going to use the brown braising sauce. My dog is out. You know better. He wants to come and see what I've dropped on the floor. I am going to use this brown braising sauce, but if you don't have this, again, mix up some soy sauce with some oyster sauce and just put a little teaspoon of sugar in it and mix it up, and you pretty much have this. So this is kind of that. This probably might have beef in it, though. Let me see. No, it doesn't. It just has, yeah, just soy sauce, sugar, rice wine. Yeah, rice wine vinegar, too. Add some rice wine vinegar. If you do the seasoned rice wine vinegar, it would be these three things that you would put in: the soy sauce, seasoned rice wine vinegar, and your oyster sauce. Again, the one that's pinned is the one I would normally use, but I'm just trying to use up the gluten-free. And all of the Lee Kum Kee soy sauces are really good. They have so many different oyster sauces that you just, I haven't had a bad one. They are all slightly different in terms of their quality, but I've never noticed. I get the cheap one, and I rarely notice it. They have premium. They have all kinds of them. So let's see. So this is probably not ready yet. No, not ready yet. So we're going to get another thing. So I am usually very impatient. And today is a day that I would like that to be done. Now, it says, I don't know if it's going to cut me off in an hour. If it cuts me off in an hour, I apologize. And then we can, I'll try to just record what I'm doing and post it. But I said to do an hour because I didn't know how long I was going to be online. I'm going to probably go a little longer. End live. Nope, I do not want to end the live. I want to keep it going. Okay, so I'm at 57 minutes. I do not want to keep it. I want to keep it going. Don't want to end it. So hopefully it lets me continue. Let's hope. When I did, this is the first time I've done a scheduled live. So all of these things, the reason I'm going live so frequently is because I don't want to know what I'm doing and I want to figure it out. So we're going to see how that goes. So I probably have another 3 minutes before it's not yet beating. Not yet beating. Okay, so this dish is going to literally be just the ground beef that we've marinated in. Marinated this in the soy sauce and the garlic and seasoned rice wine vinegar, I believe. Is that what we did? Oh, oyster sauce. I didn't put seasoned rice wine vinegar in this one. Just the oyster sauce, the less sodium curcumin soy sauce, and garlic. So that's what's in here. I am going to pour a little bit of this liquid off because I don't want any liquid. I want it to be able to be browned. So we're going to pour that off a little bit. And there we go. Get this. Just get some of the liquid off. Because this one you can add the liquid in later if you want. But there was so little in there, it was no big deal. Okay, so this now should be ready. Oh no, it's still not beating. Okay, give it another second. All right, so I'm essentially going to go regardless of whether it says it's ready or not, because I am getting done with this. Okay, let me pull this up forward so you can see a little bit better. There we go. All right, so there we go. So we're going to do, again, this is on the, if you want to look at this one, it's really cheap. I don't remember. Let me see if I can see my shop, how cheap this thing is. It was insanely cheap. Maybe I'll just pin it. Where is it? Yeah, it's $5.88. I don't know about the shipping. If But this is the one that I got. So I put it. I'm sure I added stuff to make it free shipping for $30 or something like that. I don't. I would not usually buy something for $6 and not have free shipping. So I would usually just wait until I can get enough stuff. So I'm gonna let the oil heat up just a second, and then we're going to add in the meat. Now this meat does not have any of the it does not have cornstarch in it. So the only difference between this meat and the other meat is this one does not have any cornstarch. And again, this is the 93%. You can do 88%. I usually do 88. But the leaner, the better for this type of a dish because you don't want it to be too oily. Because you are going to add, I do add the oil right there. And so, all right, so we're going to get this all browned up. And then we're going to add the vegetables to make it a little more, since they're frozen too, I need them to thaw out before I add the noodles. The noodles take just seconds to make here. I should have my fan on, but then I turn my fan on, you are going to not be able to hear me at all. Okay, so this looks pretty good. It's pretty well cooked. And it will continue to cook as we add the veggies, which I am trying to remember where I put them. Oh, back here. Okay, so this is just frozen peas and carrots. That's it. Just frozen peas and carrots. And we're just going to get these cooked up. And essentially we're getting this all set up. So then when we toss in the noodles, the sauce will already be in here. And the sauce is just going to be soy sauce. It's just going to be this brown braising sauce. But again, you can use soy sauce, oyster sauce, a little seasoned rice wine vinegar, a little extra sugar. Because these other sauces that are made like this, there's a couple different ones of them like this. They usually have a lot more sugar in them. You don't need to have as much sugar as they put, but that sugar does help balance the flavors off a little bit. So we want all these vegetables to be cooked through, and we want it to be softened. We don't want to bite into any frozen veggies. And this, now I'm going to add. Oops, I'm just adding my brown braising sauce is what I told you I was going to do. This sauce is like one of those tricks to making things fast and easy and not having to have so many sauces on hand. You can treat this like like an oyster sauce, but it's not as thick as oyster sauce. I don't know if you saw that. It came out more like literally is a cross between the soy sauce and the oyster sauce in terms of its thickness. So you can see I just added a little bit. If we need more later, we can add more. We can add more at any time. Yeah, so we're going to just cook this up. Now this is, I just really at this point, everything's is fine to eat, but I want these veggies to be fully cooked. I don't want any frozen veggies. And you can pull these. Sometimes I'll pull these out earlier and have them so that they're thawed out, so I don't have to wait as long. So I just forgot to pull them out when I first started, because if I had pulled them out, they would be a little bit more soft. But I just pulled them out just now. So there we go. All right, so I think we're good. Now we're just going to throw in these noodles. All right. So now I'm just going to toss these into the sauce. So you notice there was liquid left behind. And this part is the part that's just a little bit difficult. I am not going to add any water to this. It's going to, I don't know if you notice, it's already starting to soften. There's enough liquid in here. You see that? It's already softening naturally. If I'm going to add any liquid, it's going to be the brown braising sauce or soy sauce, because it's not really going to need a whole lot of liquid to come together. And if you do feel like it is too dry, for sure you can add some just water. It's fine. But as you can see, this is coming together just fine without that. And the hardest part is really incorporating the meat and the veggies into the noodles. You can see I'm kind of separating and throwing them in. Right, so I'm kind of just getting them all thrown in. And you can see how the texture is changing. I don't know if you can see that. These become very glassy. They're not a glass noodle like the Korean glass noodles, but they all of those types of noodles have this kind of same thing that happens to them. They start off like white, you can't see through them, and then as soon as you get them cooked up, they start to become more glassy and see-through. And that, I'm going to test it just to see if they're cooked all the way through. And that is really all this dish is. It's super simple, super fast. One of my weeknights. Yeah, it's a little. It's got a little bite to it, so I'm gonna cook it just a little second. In terms of texture, now you can definitely add some of this chili, the Momofuku chili, and make it a spicy noodle, and that would be really good. So this is actually now just. That is just perfect. So there you go. That is dish number 2. All right, and if I can make it so you guys can see it a little bit better. So dish number 2. That one, I made this when my son was growing up a lot because we didn't have a whole lot of time after work and after school. I was working full time. Son's in swimming, and he has his things that he's got to do. He didn't get home sometimes till super late. So this is just one of those. I'm going to get a clean little fork and show you. I'm just good, show you kind of how soft these are. You can see how soft they are. They're very, very soft. Now, had I not cut them up, these would be sticking together a lot more because you'd have like the longer ones and they would never come apart. So this is, gosh, one of my favorites. All right, so we have dish number 2 done. Now, the only other thing I have to, I forgot to add the cilantro and green onions. Toss those in at the very end. Again, I toss these at the end because that's what I like to do. I think it's better that way. So you don't want them to cook. You can cook the green onions. If you're using the whites of the green onions, I would put the whites in when you put in the vegetables, the frozen vegetables in. Put the whites in so that they get cooked a little bit more, and then just top with the greens. So there we go. All right, there we go. All right, that's it. Okay, so I've got a lot of mess. I'm just going to move over. I'm going to just let you look at how beautiful that looks and make you hungry. Maybe you're going to get hungry. I am hungry, but I will wait to eat until after I'm off camera. All right, I'm just moving off some of these dishes so I can do the next set of things. All right, get some of these things set aside. The only thing that I'm doing now is I am going to make some sourdough bread, and I'm not going to actually be able to make the whole thing, but I'm going to just mix it up, and then we'll talk about a little bit more about sourdough if anybody's interested in sourdough. I did not get into it during the 2020 pandemic era. I didn't start doing it until about a year and a half ago, so I was a little late to the game, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I've been enjoying it ever since. Okay, we've got a lot of mess over here that I'm trying to have to clear up. Sourdough is one of those things that you'll have people get very passionate about. And as much as I am passionate about it, I'm also passionate about the fact that it doesn't have to be perfect. And it can be whatever you like it to be, because my taste buds are not your taste buds. And I do not need it to be something. I don't sell mine. We just eat it at home. So we have a knife. Get the knife. So I'm still just trying to clean up just a little bit, and then we're gonna go move on to that. If anybody would like me to try something else, like if there's something that you want to learn how to make, put it in the comments. I'll be able to read them after the live. It's kind of hard for me to read while I'm cooking. But I will most definitely check the live and make it so you can, so I can see what people are interested in. My website has a ton of Chinese recipes, but I also have a lot of American recipes and family recipes I made up myself. Most of them I've made up myself. So that's do. All right. I'm going to get one of my bowls, and I can move you guys over now. I mean, you knew what mess I was making. It was pretty messy. All right. All right, there we go. So sourdough is about weights and measures. You can, if you get really good at it, you could probably do it on your own without weighing it. If you get used to the textures and what things are. Some people have. My grandmother, she didn't do sourdough, but she just did regular yeast breads. My dad continually tells me how much, what she never measured. And I'm like, of course she didn't. She just used handfuls of flour. She kind of had done it every Sunday. She'd make bread, and so it was easy for her. So, okay, this is refrigerated sourdough. I'm doing an unloaf, so this is refrigerated sourdough, and I'm going to just measure out 165 grams. All right, and this is essentially has not been fed in over a week and has been in the fridge since then. So this is what's called, a lot of people say discard. I call it inactive starter because it's well, it is technically active, but it's hungry starter is really more the term that should be used. So I'm measuring out 165 grams, and I like to use a straight-sided clear bowl when I'm doing this. Well, this stage it doesn't need to be because I'm just doing the measurements and mixing it up. So that's too much. Still a little bit too much. Just a little bit off. Let's see, what is it now? So I'm at 171. I want to get under 170. It doesn't have to be perfect. There we go, 166. All right. So that will get scraped down and put into, and then we will. Oh, I know why my dogs are hovering. I did not feed them yet. Hey, Mickey, can you feed the dogs? Poor dogs. That's why they're hovering at me. They do that when they're hungry, and I have totally forgot because I hadn't eaten yet. I usually wait until I feed them, until I feed myself. All right. So I like to use this whisk. It's a flat whisk. You can use any whisk, or you can use the bread whisk. Bread whisk does not work as well for me. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit so it's not as. All right. So there we go. Okay. So I have 166, 165 is what I was aiming for, and then I'm going to do 400 grams. I don't worry about the temperature of my water. This is a recipe that is, okay, this is 387. I just want a little bit more than that. This is a recipe that does not require things to be exactly like you want. This recipe is literally just mix it and let it set overnight on the counter. I might put it in the oven with the light on. Now, see, I did too much now. So, of course I did. There we go. Do I have a bowl I can put it in? There. I'll just grab a little bit of the water out. Yep, so that's better. That's 401 now. It's amazing how little it is that you need. Okay, so once I get the starter in there, I whisk it up. So this is called the unloaf. I already have a post with the full recipes in my pinned at the top of my page. This is one of my favorite ones now to do because you don't have to, feed your starter. You don't have to make a levain. You don't have to do all of these things that make sourdough unattainable. And I'm essentially looking for it to not, this is pretty close, to not be stringy. So I don't want to pull this up and there's some little clumps. I don't want it to be clumpy or stringy. So that's good. Yep, there we go. The reason why you weigh your starter is because weigh all of your ingredients is because things like the starter can weigh differently depending upon where it's in the rising thing. So when you're feeding your starter, say you start off here at 300, at this mark. Let's just say this is 1 cup, right? If you start at 1 cup and then it rises, it can get up to 3 cups. So using a cup of this that's at the height versus a cup of this, and we know when it's not risen, is completely different. Like when it's fallen. So the weight, you want to look more about the weight, especially for the starter. When you're talking about the flour and the water, you can kind of deal with that. I'm going to go off screen for just a second. I just need to grab the flour and the salt. So this recipe is only flour, water, salt. That is all that's in this recipe. And there we go. Flour, water, and salt. And we gotta get the salt. Okay. And then we're gonna do 650 grams of flour, and everything in this is in grams. I really, that's just probably because most of these recipes came from Europe, and that's why. So let's get a cup to scoop things out with. I think my scoop is not here. Okay, so I'm doing 650 grams of flour. So this recipe I don't know who created it. It just started going around all of the sourdough boards, called an unloaf because it's essentially the opposite of all of the rules that everybody always has been told. And so I will do that one wound up being 657, so just a little bit more. There we go. So I'm going to add some salt, and I'm going to add 15 grams of salt. And when you're doing the salt, be really cautious. Just do it slowly. So pour some and then stop, because it continues to go up for the way the salt sets. I'm going to do 15 grams. It's either 12 to 15. I'm going to do 15. And then I take you can just mix it in like this. I've seen people mix it into the water starter mixture, but I just kind of mix it into the flour like this. Yeah, that's all I do. Okay, so that aside. So that's all of the ingredients you have: flour, salt, and water. And the starter is literally just flour and salt, and flour and water. And I am going to go wash my hands before I do anything more with this, because I haven't really touched much, but I'm going to just be cautious. All right. Hands are sufficiently washed. Okay. There we go. So you don't have to do this by touch, and I'm not going to. I'm using my rice paddle to kind of mix it up. And I just mix it. And what you're doing at this stage now, sometimes I'll also use, maybe I want to use that one instead. I might use something more like like one of these, like a silicone spatula. Either one. You can use this. The silicone spatula is a little nicer sometimes because it will, I should have started with that, because you can scrape the sides. But, a lot of times I'll kind of do a little bit of both. So anyways, so all I'm doing is mixing this Your sound is off. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know. Sound is off. So how long is my sound is off? But hopefully, Joe, thank you so much. How long has it been off, Joe? Where did I leave off? Do you know what? Can you tell me where I left off so I can go back to it? So it should have been. Okay, I don't know how far I went off, but so I think I was talking about whether or not how the sourdough, like why this will raise without it being from before you. Oh, okay, perfect. So that's not so far. So so the science behind it is there because it's essentially making a little thicker of a starter, because starter is just flour, water with the starter, and you just keep feeding it that. And this is essentially the same thing, just added salt. So I'm gonna put this up a little bit more. All right. Okay, so there we go. I think I am done for the night. I appreciate everybody being here. This is just something that I'm a little crazy about, being in the kitchen. Ask my friends. They will tell you I am a little bit of a whirlwind when I start cooking. I come from a large family, so my mom was always in the kitchen cooking large meals because we had, I'm the youngest of 6, so it was always large batches of food, 3 brothers, lots of food being eaten constantly, and she had to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for everybody. And then as I got older, you know, there wasn't as many people, but we'd have the family gatherings, and I started doing a lot of the cooking as well. And so did my other sisters, and even my brothers got into the cooking as well. So it's just a family thing. So we tend to do a lot of large batches. Everything's going all over the place. And I'm definitely not the neatest of the family, but I'm not the most messy. I think my oldest sister is probably more messy than me when she's in the kitchen. If she was on live, she may decide that that's not true, but we will compete as to who's the messiest. How's that? But thank you guys. I really, really appreciate it. If you can give me more hearts, I'd really love that. I really appreciate everything. I don't know what the roses are. I think those cost you money, or chili peppers. So I don't really care about those, but that's just one of those things that TikTok is trying to get you to do. So I'm not going to worry about any of that until I start actually getting much more into this. So this was my first live where I did it scheduled. I'm learning second live where I was able to pre-plan my list of shopping items. Let me just look at my shopping items and things. Oh, I want to show you. So this, okay. So this set that I just pinned has jars. It has the bannetons. It has everything in it. You don't necessarily need all of that, but if you want to get started and you get really excited and that's where you want to go, it's actually not that expensive, that set. It's $52. But if you really, really just want something to get you started, again, you don't even need to use these jars that I have, these type of jars, but it is nice to have them because they're straight edge. I started with just using the large mason jars, but the only problem with them is because even in the wide mouth, the lid kind of goes in a little bit. It's a lot messier. So these jars are a lot easier, and they have the lines on them so you can kind of see, and you'll mark where it is and everything. So, so those jars are probably one of the things that I would, if I was just to buy just one thing, I would probably buy those jars because it is just easier to use, and they'll give you these little things that you put on top to protect it and still let the air come in and out without letting bugs or anything else in. And I think that's it. So I'm going to continue doing the sourdough. I'm going to continue cooking. I'm not always going to be on live when I'm cooking, obviously, because I cook, multiple times a day. I pretty much cook 5 nights out of the week, or sometimes I'll do less and I just eat leftovers make big batches, because again, all I do is make big batches. So thank you guys again. I loved having this time with my virtual friends. And I think I have a few friends I think I have one friend that's on here that knows me in person. So I appreciate everybody. Have a good night and enjoy your cooking journey, and especially, hopefully, your sourdough journey. Thank you.